Welcome to 5 Good Minutes. You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Philemon with Kurt Bjorklund.
So Philemon is a book that in some ways is about receiving somebody, forgiving somebody who's wronged us. And in our world, it seems that so often the message is if you're wronged by somebody, you have the right to avenge it, to get back at them. And we're sophisticated, even though we may cheer for it in a movie or a TV show when somebody takes vengeance. We're sophisticated enough to maybe just do it through words, through cold shoulder. So sometimes our world's the idea is just ignore the hurt, act like it doesn't hurt. But in the Bible, the encouragement, the instruction is to forgive our hurts. Again, Onesimus here was repentant, but Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32, Colossians 3:12, both are clear instructions to forgive, and that's what this book is about. And we need to understand that when we don't forgive, it actually hurts our relationship with God. This is what we learn in Matthew chapter 6, verse 14 and 15, where we're told clearly that if we don't forgive people, God doesn't forgive us. It hurts our relationship often with others because we end up at odds with people when we don't forgive. This is Matthew 18, verse 31. And it can hurt our own soul. This is the idea of the root of bitterness, Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15. And so forgiveness, reconciliation, giving a welcome to somebody means at least a couple of things. First, I think it means that we refuse to take revenge. This is verse 10 of Philemon, where he says, I appeal to you for my child Onesimus, whose father I became in my imprisonment. Formerly he was useless, now he's useful to me, and I'm sending him back to you, sending my very heart, and I would be glad to keep him with me in order that he might serve me on my behalf. But in this appeal, when he says, I appeal to you, what he's saying is, I'm going to send him back, and I don't want you to do what you have the right to do, to seek revenge. And so that is the first thing. The second piece of this is probably to receive the person. We talked about this yesterday, verse 17, that you would receive him. Some translations say welcome him. In Greek, it's paralambano, to take into your social circle or home. And again, this is not talking about somebody who has needed to be put out of a certain role or fellowship because of egregious sin. This is a relational hurt where he's saying, receive this person back into your social circle. Now, I don't believe that receiving somebody means that you have to put them exactly back where they were in your life. The example I've used before is if you have a babysitter who comes over to your house and when you come home, they're shaking your kids by their ankles to try to get them to behave. You probably don't need to ever have that person back to babysit, even if they're repentant, and say, I was sorry, I got carried away, whatever. So receiving the person doesn't mean putting them back in a place where they can damage you necessarily in the same way. But it does mean saying, I'm not going to seek revenge, and I am going to still live and move with you in social circles. And this is one of the real distinctions of Christianity, because when non-believers have breaks in social relationship, what they do is they just simply dismiss people. And what Christians are called to do is even when somebody has wronged us from our perspective, has hurt us, we are called to still receive them into our lives. And then we're to release the offender. This is verse 18. If he's wronged you at all or owes you anything, charge it to my account. And so he's to release the offense. And what happens when we've been done wrong is there is something that we've lost of value. The illustration I've heard people use at times is if somebody's in your house and they break a lamp, you have a couple of options. You can say, pay me for the lamp. You can go out and buy a new lamp, or you can go without a lamp. But either way, there's a cost. And what forgiveness receiving is at some point is saying, I'm no longer going to demand payment. Now, again, somebody hits your car, or there's a time to say, hey, pay me what you owe me in this. This is talking about personal relationships, and it means that I'm not going to demand that you continue to pay. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to discuss it with other people in this. And then we see that there's this rebuilding of this relationship as well. Verse 15, verse 16, for this is perhaps why I was parted from you for a while, that you might have him back forever, no longer as a slave, but more than a slave, as a beloved brother, especially to me. How much more to you, both in the flesh and in the Lord? And so what Paul is advocating for is the possibility that after the hurt, the relationship can actually grow stronger, better, bigger. And sometimes that actually happens. I don't know if you've experienced this, but sometimes it's actually when there's been a hurt and an offense that you can get to the real heart of a relationship and the heart of a person. One of my best friends from college and since has been somebody who, one of the moments that helped our friendship grow is when we got really cross with each other and ended up in just kind of a spat, a disagreement. But that was part of the foundation of a deeper friendship where there was a receiving of each other, even with some of the ugliness that transpired in that moment. That happens if we allow God to work. So who is somebody that you're tempted not to receive? What would it look like for you to receive this person into your life?
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.